I call the member for Clayfield.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. On the 16th of June 2018, I detailed the unscrupulous, unfair, fraudulent and quite possibly illegal activities of Australian four-wheel drive hire. After exposing those activities, I was inundated with emails from former customers who had been ripped off by that business. In April 2019, after my representations to the Federal Treasurer and the hard work of others, the ACCC instituted court proceedings alleging Australian four-wheel drive hire used unfair contract terms, engaged in unconscionable conduct and made false or misleading representations in relation to insurance cover in breach of the Australian consumer law. The ACCC also alleges that Australian four-wheel drive hire's fleet manager, Mr Vitaly Roche, and director, Ms Marina Kozakina, were knowingly concerned in the alleged breaches of the Australian consumer law. Despite this, both Roche and Kozakina, under the guise of Australian four-wheel drive hire, continued ripping customers off right up to and over Christmas 2019. Here's how they did it. Despite clearly knowing they were going to sell the business and then put the company in liquidation, Kozakina and Roche, via the business, delayed paying legitimate creditors and continued to accept rental security bonds and deposit, and it appears also did so for some days after selling the business. Records show that on 17 December 2019, the business was sold to a company incorporated only 5 days earlier, a company with no name, only an Australian company number, and whose registered office is in Melbourne and whose sole shareholder and director cannot be located. Dodgy business indeed. Then Roche and Kozakina put the company behind Australian four-wheel drive into liquidation. This means many customers who had paid bonds and deposits for the trip of a lifetime before Christmas 2019 and the many customers owed money as a result of successful legal claims now face almost no prospect of recovering their money. Tens of thousands of dollars ripped off again. The new owner refuses to refund bonds paid prior to Christmas, and of course, to no one's surprise, there is virtually no money in the defunct company accounts, despite tens of thousands of dollars being deposited by customers in the lead-up to the sale and subsequent liquidation. Now, I've written to the liquidator, Mr Matthew Bookless of SV Partners on the Gold Coast, calling on him to thoroughly investigate all aspects of this tawdry and shameful business. He should review the dodgy business contract and publicly examine the individuals concerned to see if money can be recovered to benefit creditors. I table a copy of my email to Mr Bookless and a copy of his initial report to creditors. The ACCC must continue its prosecution of Roche and Kozakina to ensure they can't continue their predatory practices. Any potential customers should be wary of Australian four-wheel drive hire. Its checkered history and the events of the last month should be sounding alarm bells. The business continues to use the same dodgy rental contract described by the ACCC as unfair, misleading and unconscionable. New customers run the real risk of being ripped off unless that changes. So beware of Australian four-wheel drive hire. My advice, protect yourself and rent from somewhere else.
Thank you. Member for Clayfield.